The town hall meeting is one of the main places for first-year students to lead conversations about issues that interest them. I really think that when students come to the university, we need to make an argument to them that what they're doing here matters. They can't start seeing themselves as researchers where the research goes nowhere. That's not how real researchers do their work. They do it so that they can put it out there and get a response. I think that the town hall tries to do that. We want to see what conclusions you came to in your work. They take the youngest members of our community and say, what you have to say matters.
You need to film. Why not? I just have to print it.
You can do that. You can just more excited. Do you want to just fill this out though?
My name is Ellie Wick. We did Women in the Media and how the media portrays women in a negative light and makes us believe that like we have to be skinny to fit in, or we have to. There's just a lot of pressure towards women that the media puts on us. We made a pamphlet with graphics on the outside, and then on the inside there's some facts to take back with you.
My name is Matthew Stewart. Graffiti in the community, that's what it is.
Octavia Racing. Well, I learned that actually a lot of people are have self-body images. Like when Angelina Jolie came out, because she has big lips, so a lot of people went to cosmetic surgery just to get their lips bigger. Or when Pam Anderson Lee came out, she had big breasts, so a lot of women want to have bigger breasts.
The First Year Experience Program, which is the program I direct, produces the town hall. So on the day of the town hall, my staff members, most of whom are students, start the day early by setting up a tent with help from the university in the free speech area. The students come by, they put up exhibits that show to the public the kinds of research they've been doing, what their key questions are. Some of the exhibits are interactive, some are films. There's just a range of things for people walking by the free speech area to stop in and look at and think about. We're really trying to provoke thought about public issues.
The town hall meeting is the culmination of a syllabus in English 130 called Writing for the Public Sphere. So students spend 2/3 of the semester researching a current issue that matters deeply to them. And after they finish that writing, they move on to lead a discussion about what they've learned to a larger audience, and that discussion is the town hall meeting.
My topic was the health of our democracy, dealing with emotional appeals and rhetoric. And basically I analyzed campaign ads and how the campaign ads had certain emotional appeals, like creating fear to get someone to vote a certain way, or having hope to, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
My discussion was the financial and social burden of Iraq. Doing the town hall meeting was an awesome experience. I learned a lot. I got to speak in public, which is one of my fears. And besides just learning what I learned what other people had.
The idea came from teaching students and seeing over and over again that we asked them to do research, and they had this preconceived, prepackaged notion of what a research essay was. Okay, I pick a topic, I take the first 8 sources I find, I plug them into an essay, and I call it done. And it seemed so disconnected from their lives, and it seemed so disconnected from the world they lived in. So the idea came from trying to give them a real audience and a real purpose for the work that they do.
My discussion was kind of different from the other discussions, with it being that I actually had a longer video to show. It was part of the assignment. I actually made a documentary. One of the things, I showed it on the video, a positive message has the same effect as a negative message, with the exception that the negative message has to have a fear cue. And they'll both work pretty well together. and getting someone to sway their vote some way. So I thought that was the most interesting thing that I found in my research.
No work in the university should ever feel like busy work. It should be connected, and it should connect them to the world they live in.
Then we always have a welcome from the composition coordinator. We have a short keynote speech to set the tone
and give you some context so that you understand why you're here. I'm going to try to answer, the small questions in life. Why are you here, and what should you be doing? And ultimately, what should you be doing tonight? What kinds of questions have students put out there for us to think about?
We really want the town hall to be about conversation among lots of people, so we want to make that clear. And we move from that initial session in the auditorium to lots of small breakout rooms. The audience goes to those presentations. Those are led by students, and with an emphasis on conversation among all members.
To sum up my research, I chose this topic because I was tired of seeing our generation and the media telling us that we have to look or be a certain way to be beautiful.
I picked this topic because I'm an African American and I want to see how the beauty affected me personally. One of the problems I had with my research was that when I would tell people about it, a lot of people thought it was just another black versus white thing, when really all women of color are affected by the mainstream media.
There are two main kinds of student participation. There are people who facilitate roundtable discussions. Those are the people who take that research that they did and translate it into a conversation. And then there's indirect participants. And those people attend the town hall, and they're not leading a conversation on their research. They're doing some research so that they can be really informed, productive members of the conversation.
I think a lot of it's a respect issue. With all the media things, I did it for my topic as well. It just seems like women are portrayed so poorly, and I don't understand why it hasn't stopped, and it's a problem because it leads to unhealthy behaviors, and it's just all this striving for an unrealistic goal.
I attended the session on sexism and how it is portrayed in the media. I don't know if it's so much that I learned anything, but I was able to discuss things with my peers that, gave me a better perspective of what the majority thinks on the topics and how they feel.
Some of the assumptions that underlie the town hall meeting are, what would happen to our university community if we valued the writing and the ideas of first-year students as much as we valued the writing and the work of some of the most senior researchers on campus? Another underlying assumption is, what would happen if we started to blur student identity and civic identity, so that students didn't just, when they took a writing course or some of their GE courses, feel like they were going through the motions, but actually making a difference, taking their research and saying, I want other people to see this. I want other people, faculty, administrators, staff, my peers, to weigh in on what I'm saying.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Atwood, and I research the health aspect of the global warming. Studies show that Europeans who are now age 30 have a higher increase of, their mortality rate is a lot higher than ours due to the fact that they like to participate in different sports and they like to be out.
Isn't there also scientific studies taken to show that global warming is also possibly a naturally recurring cycle that the Earth goes through? Goes through a periodic cooling phase and then heating.
The natural component of warming is actually less than 10%. And in fact, all of the natural variables that would feed into the natural climate cycles are on a downturn. And if it was natural, we should be cooling at the moment. That includes solar variability, solar orbits, and volcanic activity, which are the big three.
During the reception, the students who led discussions are asked to sit at tables with policymakers who are people in the community with influence, people who have expertise in the area the students have investigated. And at that table, during that last hour, the policymakers helped the student leaders to think about next steps they could take, because our emphasis is on the scholar-citizen. So we're not only promoting research, but also action in the community based on an informed position.
My policymaker was Sandra Flake, and she's the provost, vice president of the campus. And I also spoke to Deanna Berg. She was one of the policymakers that actually went to my discussion. And she's director of civic engagement on campus.
The year with Nader was a perfect example of that. So I was just thinking about the connection between your two sessions though, because you're talking about voter registration, but you were talking about the rhetoric, and we really need to do a better job of not just registering students, but then making those connections to, okay, now you're registered, how do you get through the rhetoric to make the good choices and get a vote? So
the student leaders who sit down with the policymakers get a chance to talk to somebody who can help them do something real. For instance, some of the students got to talk to President Zing. The students who talked to him were interested in the dilemmas that first-generation college students face.
Okay. What did you identify as special issues for first-generation students that would be different from folks who have had siblings, brothers, sisters in their families go to college before?
President Zing told me afterward he learned a great deal. He found it very helpful, and of course he's positioned to do something, to implement programs, to implement aid, to continue a dialogue. Jeff Price, who's a Nobel Prize winning scientist for his contribution to research on climate change, sat down with students who had researched climate change. They had a lot of facts about climate change, but they really were not very clear about how they could act in a way that would matter. So he was there to help them think about that.
You know, there's efforts undergoing right now to actually make rocks. That you can take one type of rock and carbon dioxide and make another kind of rock. Well, that's chemistry and geochemistry. And, synthetic fuels, alternative fuel supplies, hydrogen, that's all chemistry. So this, it ties into what you do.
It's so exciting when a student finishes a town hall roundtable experience. They've had this great conversation, and a faculty member says, "Hey, it sounds like this really interests you. Would you come and take my class?" So students get direction in terms of how they can orient themselves in the work at Chico State. I've also seen things happen where students get hooked up with other students. So they'll have a conversation in the round table, and students will say, you should join our club. We're doing this kind of work and we could really use you. So I've seen these moments where students do this research and they think, this is just for a paper. But it ends up creating a kind of identity for them.
The town hall meeting is something to give students a sense of being a citizen and what it's all about. About acting in your community in a positive way that will affect the betterment of people's lives,
I think everybody should do it. It was such a great experience. Everybody learned so much, and it's just an amazing thing. I can't believe that they expected so much from us, and at the end, we were there at the standards, and it was just amazing.
One of the surprising things I told him is that this project actually makes me want to change from my major to poli-sci. So yes, this has definitely changed my life.
So it feels like students have found more meaning in the work that they do. They see that the life of the classroom is not separate from the life of the community that they live in, or from their life as a citizen.